Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to do an oil change on a 6.4 liter Powerstroke Ford diesel. It's a very quick process. Instead of taking a whole lot of time, I'll just kind of give you the rundown, make it easy in case you typically go to the dealer and want to save a little cash or do a little better job yourself. It's not a lot of tools to actually do it. First off, you're just going to need a big ass bucket. Simply because this does take 15 quarts of oil, and if you still have your DPF and you haven't deleted it, you could end up with 17 quarts by the time you're done with the fuel mixed into it. That, of course, you'll need something to pour the oil into the cap. You need a 36 millimeter socket to actually undo the oil cap. You'll need a 19 millimeter to undo the drain plug. And a screwdriver, a little small one, flathead, is very useful when it comes to changing out the O-ring on the oil cap. And of course shop towels for cleanup, things like that. For the oil, of course, you can do whatever you want on your oil. In this case, you're using some Shell Rotella 5W40. This truck, even though it's in Arizona, will be going up to below freezing temps. So use a 540 and use a Motorcraft filter. Too many issues out there with the aftermarket filters. Just stick with the Motorcrafts. And be careful about one thing: if you go to buy them like an AutoZone, about half the time these are missing, and you need to change your O-ring when you get a new filter. So be careful about that. First thing we're going to do, in this case, got to lift a truck, so I kind of got to climb up into it. Once you get up in here, you're going to see these two little circular caps here. This one's your fuel. You don't want to touch that right now. This one here is your oil cap. So what you're actually going to do is take that 19 millimeter and turn it. I've already loosened it up, so let's see if I can get it off. Yeah, there we go. I like to undo this first before I actually drain the oil, just so the system's vented. So I like to undo it. You probably didn't hear it there, but there's a little bit of gas escape when I got it opened up. And there's your filter. I'm also a fan of, for safe measure, opening up the gas filler cap, or the oil filler cap as well. Okay, the next step is going to be getting underneath the truck. If you're a heftier man, or your truck's stock lower to the ground, you may have to get jack stands or pull it up on something, but try to keep the truck level as you can. If it tilts a little to the back, that actually won't hurt it, but try to keep it mostly level. If you look here, don't drain this. That's your transmission. Don't be the idiot that drains the transmission and then overfills the engine oil. It does happen. Your engine oil is going to be up the front. So in this case, you take your 19 millimeter. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Have your bucket below, ready to catch it. Try to make sure you don't drop it in the bucket, because it is a pain in the ass, and most of us have probably done it before. Try to also make sure you get the gasket. You're going to get a mess a little bit no matter what you do. So always have shop towels ready, obviously. And then just let it drain. Won't take too long. I like to just let it sit a little bit. One note to make sure your truck's at least warm. I think my oil temp when I last checked was around 130 degrees. I ran it a little while ago. So make sure you get at least a little bit of warm temperature, just so it's not sitting there all sludgy and not moving. It'll just aid in the speed and the time it takes to drain. Okay, now while the oil's draining, we can come back up here, go back to the oil filter. What you want to do is remove the oil filter. If you look, it's going to be on this little spring here, and it kind of attaches to the bottom. It locks on to the cap. Actually, I need two hands for this. Okay, once you popped it off, you can see right there it has these little notch top on it that'll actually connect to the bottom of the cap. So that's what was holding it on. So now we've got rid of that, we can kind of dispose of it. Just set it over here for now. And then what we're going to want to do is, I'm not going to actually show you this, I need to put down the camera for this, but you see the little orange O-ring on there? Always replace it. With every filter you get a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'll change that out, clean it up a little bit, just kind of clean all the oil off the cap, just make it look a little nicer, a little old residue out of it, and then I'll show you how to put that back on. Okay, now going back under the truck, you'll now see it's pretty much done. There's still a drop here, a drop there, but overall it's pretty well set. So I'm going to take the drain plug, reinstall it, make sure you got the washer on there, you don't want it to leak, and they say to replace the washer every single time you do it, but I personally, I've never done it unless, except for times when I've seen it pretty bad, like in case it got previous owner scratched up or dinged it or something. Clean up around there. There's also a torque setting on this, but pretty much anybody who ever does this just kind of get a feel for it, and you kind of know what's good. Of course, clean up one last time. This way, just in case there's a leak, you can see it, but typically, unless you barely turn the damn thing, you're not going to have an issue with the leak. If you look in the bucket here, we're more than 3/4 the way filled, so you definitely want to get a big, good sized bucket, otherwise you're going to have overflows. Now, before I get back to showing the last part of the video and the filter change and everything, I want to kind of see this. Ford recommends every 10,000 miles under regular service, 5,000 under heavy duty or severe conditions. This was through the Arizona summer, so I'd say that's probably pretty severe conditions, some towing and whatnot. But this right here is about 4,400 miles on Motorcraft oil, and that's pretty much solid black. And I'm sure we did an oil analysis, we'd find out for sure, but I mean that's pretty bad. That's really, really dark. And by the way, this truck also has DPF deleted, all that, so no regen cycles and all that, so it won't be as much issues with the fuel going into it. And it doesn't smell like fuel or anything, but it's pretty well done, and it's not even reached the 5,000 mile mark yet. So just check your oil monitor on things like that, so you don't end up with oil that's pretty well shot and hurt your engine. Alright, next step, now we're back under the engine. If you look here, I went ahead and replaced the O-ring. This one's actually black versus the orange one last time. Color doesn't matter. What I've done also, take the filter and install it. You actually have to put it inside the cap and rotate it until it clicks in, and then it won't come out. And what you want to do is come up in here and just simply install it. If you look at it, it'll slip. That part right there, slip right over this spring. By the way, also, when you're doing the O-ring, put a little bit of fresh, clean oil on the O-ring, so it's not sitting in there dry. And then this is your choice here. Personally, a lot of the times I'll dump a little bit of oil in here, just so it kind of fills it up, gets the filter a little wet. It's not mandatory. It's just personal preference for whatever the hell reason. Some diesel techs swear by it. Some of them will laugh at you. So everyone has their own opinion on that. It's kind of like oil. I can't show you that when I'm doing this, but that's what I usually do, is I'll pour, a little bit of oil down in there just to get it wet. What you'll do then, simply put it down, do it to hand tight, and then grab that 36 millimeter, put it on top, tighten it. It'll tell you on the thing, it'll say 25 Newton meters. I don't even recall what that is in torque, but it's kind of the same thing with the drain plug. You typically get used to doing it, and you get the feel, and you know it's too much. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy there. And then, of course, the last step you're going to have then is your oil. Of course, take off the cap, pour it in. This truck takes 15 quarts with a full change and oil filter, so 15 quarts. Then, of course, if you want, check it, but I've never had an issue with it being low or too much on 15 quarts. So that's it. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It's not even really that messy of a job on this truck. A little easier if you got a lift, but overall it's not too hard. Any questions, feel free to leave comments. Otherwise, good luck.